participating in today's webinar on entrepreneurship, a walkthrough. We are honored to have a resource person, Sri Arnab Sarkar, and we are extremely happy to welcome you, sir. I, Swati U, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Science and Engineering, VKIT, extend my warm welcome to all the participants down there. It is mark of our undying tradition to invoke the Almighty at the beginning of any event. The function of prayer is not to influence God, rather to change the nature of one who prays. I call Chinmay 6M, Department of Information Science and Engineering, VKIT, for the invocation song.
शरणु सिद्धि विनायका शरणु विद्या प्रदायका शरणु पार्वती तनय मूर्ति शरणु मूषिक वाहना शरणु निटिल नेत्रन देवी सुतने नागभूषण प्रियने तटिल तांकिट कोमलांगनि कर्ण कुंडल धारने शरणु बटमोतिन पदकहारने बाहुहस्त चतुष्टने इट तोडुಗೆಯ ಹೇಮ ಕಂಕಣ ಪಾಶಾಂಕುಶಧಾರನೆ ಶರಣು ಕುಕ್ಷಿಮಹಲಂಬೋದರನೆ ಇಕ್ಷು ಚಾಪನ ಗೆಲಿದಾನೆ ಪಕ್ಷಿ ವಾಹನ ಸಿರಿ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲನ ನಿಜ ದಾಸನೆ ಶರಣು ಶರಣು ಸಿದ್ಧಿ ವಿನಾಯಕ ಶರಣು ವಿದ್ಯಾ ಪ್ರದಾಯಕ ಶರಣು ಪಾರ್ವತಿ ತನಯ ಮೂರುತಿ ಶರಣು ಮೂಷಿಕ ವಾಹನ ಶರಣು ಶರಣು ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Thank you, Chinmay. That was pleasant indeed. I would call Dr. N.P. Netravati, Professor and Head, Department of ISE VKIT, to formally welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Swati. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Good evening to one and all. On behalf of Janata Education Society and Vivekananda Institute of Technology, a very warm welcome to all for today's webinar on Entrepreneurship, a walkthrough, organized by the Department of Information Science and Engineering, Vivekananda Institute of Technology, Bangalore. I, Dr. N.P. Netravati, Professor and Head, Department of ISE, extend my hearty welcome for today's webinar resource person, Sri Arnab Sarkar, Branch Head, Canara Bank, SME, Kumbalgod Branch, Bangalore. Welcome you, sir. Sir has an experience of 80 years, of which 4 years in banking. He has handled corporate, MSME and retail clients. He is also dealing with many entrepreneurs. Today, he is sharing his thoughts on entrepreneurship. With this introduction, once again, I would like to welcome today's webinar resource person, Sri Arnab Sarkar. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Now, I'm very much delighted to welcome Dr. Kumar Kenchegowda, Principal, and Vice Principal, Dr. D.V. Chandrasekhar. Welcome you, sir. I would like to welcome heads of various departments, teaching and non-teaching staffs, and my dear students. I extend my warm welcome to all the participants for showing their interest to attend this webinar. If you are starting something on your own, you better have a passion for it because this is hard work. So, all of you kindly make use of this webinar to become a successful entrepreneur. Once again, thank you all.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Today's webinar is on entrepreneurship. Who would not like to become an entrepreneur a day? I believe there are young, energetic souls out there who would definitely wish to become an entrepreneur a day. There also would be people who are already entrepreneurs. I think this is a beautiful opportunity for us to get updated upon how we can build build our journey towards becoming an entrepreneur. Before proceeding with it, I would like to give you a few instructions. If you have any sort of queries when during this webinar, please do drop that in the chat box below. All your questions will be answered in the question and answer session at the end. So please do spare your time, have your patience, and wait until the end of the webinar and see to that all your questions are answered. So all of you, please make the best of today's talk. Without any further ado, I would like to turn the time to our resource person, and over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, madam. Respected Dr. Gowda, Principal, VKIT. Respected Dr. Chandrasekhar, Vice Principal, VKIT. Respected Dr. Netravati, Head of ISE Department, VKIT. All the esteemed directors and the founders of Janata Educational Society. Dear students, all the HODs, professors of VKIT, and all the listeners, a very good evening to all in all. Today, as we are facing the crisis of COVID, it's a learning time for all of us. It's a time that will teach us how to evolve, and what more to evolve than the word entrepreneurship. So I wholeheartedly thank the VKIT management for giving me this opportunity to share a walkthrough for entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, as the word suggests, is a French word, which means innovation. But before getting into the topic, I would like to share a year experience of association of VKIT. VKIT has been a second home to us. As you can see, as you can see in the photograph, Sri Reddy is inaugurating the ATM of Canara Bank along with the Chief General Manager, Sri Lakshmi Narayana, at VKIT last year. On 22nd June, we celebrated, on 27th of June, we celebrated, that is tomorrow, it completes a year, we celebrated International MSME Day at VKIT campus. I would also like to pay tribute to Sri BP Muniraju, the founder for VKIT College, member of Janata Educational Society, for my presentation. Let me begin with my own introduction. So firstly, a spoiler alert, I am not an entrepreneur by myself, but yes, I have been working with a lot of entrepreneurs, as ma'am has rightly said. So I'm right now handling around 600 clients, both corporate as well as MSME, from a unit worth 5 lakhs to unit worth 500 crores, having turnovers of 10,000 crores is also taken care by me. Currently, I'm heading a branch at Canara Bank, SME Kumbalguru, which is very much nearby to VKIT. Myself, I have pursued my BTech in Information Technology. So I am very close to VKIT for that aspect, because whenever I visit the college, I get a glimpse of my own past college days. I have worked with Cognizant and Ericsson in the automation department. Those are my Twitter links and Instagram along with my email ID. So whosoever would like to connect with me after the webinar also, I'm readily available. The agenda of discussion for today, we're going to introduce, I'm going to just take you through entrepreneurship. Then I'm going to tell you about the myths about entrepreneurship, why people don't want to be an entrepreneur. Then I'm going to give you a few tips on being a successful entrepreneur, which I have seen in front of my eyes. Then I'm going to show you the way ahead, post-COVID, what you can do. I'm going to also discuss about the financial assistance available with you. Then we're going to go for a Q&Q session. So I would like you all to be interactive, and I would like you to post more and more questions to me so that I can also help you out with that. Or else we'll try to solve the questions or the confusions that you have regarding entrepreneurship. Again, my Twitter link, my Instagram handle, as well as my email ID is mentioned on the presentation. People who want to connect could connect with me. What is entrepreneurship? As I said, it's a French word which means innovation. Definition said, an entrepreneurship is the art of setting up a business with an aim to make a profit. But I believe there are four key pillars to entrepreneurship: your attitude, creativity, relationship, and the organization that you belong or you create. Attitude plays the first and foremost more important role. If you are having a positive attitude, you can do entire impossible things, you can make it possible. You have to be creative. An entrepreneur doesn't mean that you do the same work that has been going around in the market. You have to do the same work differently, and you have to have something creative in you. You have to have a very good relationship with your employees, with your employers, with all the people that you're dealing, your suppliers, vendors. You have to have a very strong relationship. And finally, the most important part is you have to develop your organization. Entrepreneurship doesn't really mean that you create your own company. You can be an entrepreneur in the existing company that you are. Your company, your organization will recognize you for this particular fact. So you have to give respect to your organization. The organization will take care of you. The gentleman mentioned in the presentation doesn't need an introduction. He's one of the most successful entrepreneurs that the world has ever seen. If you go through his autobiography, you'll come to realize the hardship that this gentleman had to face during his days, not only during the initial days, but also during the final days when Apple was an established brand. So entrepreneurship means a 2020 game. It doesn't mean that you get established an organization and you're very happy. There are four keys to entrepreneurship. One being the motivation. The motivation should be beyond the monetary incentive. You shouldn't never look into 1,000 crore, 10,000 crores, or you should never start being an entrepreneur if you have 10,000 crores or 2,000 crores balance sheet in front of you or in your paper. You should always motivate to start, and you should never look into the monetary incentives. You should always look into things beyond it, for creating employment, for creating job, and giving back to the society. It's the ability to like what you're doing. If you do not like what you're doing, you cannot be a successful entrepreneur. You cannot be an entrepreneur at all. You should love the work that you're doing. It can be as meager, as small as anything. You should love to do what you're doing and you should like it. Needs little sleep and takes a few holidays. Our previous former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, rightly said, dream is not the thing you see in sleep, but it is that thing that doesn't let you sleep. So you should sleep less, and that particular motivation will not allow you to sleep. That makes you a successful entrepreneur. You should be never worried about your pension. You should be never worried that after 55, 60, I'll retire, I'll have a very happy life. No, then you are on wrong track. You should never be an entrepreneur. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you should always have that feeling that till the day I am breathing my last breath in this beautiful earth, beautiful planet, I should be an entrepreneur till that day. You should never be worried about the lower standard of living. I'll give a small example in this case. There was one gentleman who was an utmost failure till the age of 56. He had stood for a lot of elections. He has stood for vice president election, but could never ever succeed. But he didn't give up. His standards of living went down because of financial crisis. He never gave up. End of the day, he was known to the world. He was known worldwide. He was none other than Abraham Lincoln. All the entrepreneurs throughout their lifestyles have faced ups and downs. So you should never have that feeling that your standard of living is going down, so you should be feeling low. So these are the four keys for being an entrepreneur. And again, you have to have the motivation. That is the most important part of being an entrepreneur in an entrepreneurship. Now I'm going to clear the air in your mind. most of us have the myth. There are a lot of myths about entrepreneurship. There are a lot of myths in our Indian culture that if you do not work for an organization and start an organization, you'll be dead. There are no new ideas. You'll be requiring big investments. It's very dangerous if I share my idea with my co-brother because he'll steal and he'll implement that. No, I'm going to clear the myth in front of you. And from today onwards, I want all of you to clear off this from your mind. First and foremost myth is there is no more new ideas today existing in world. I'd like to tell you, when the bulb was invented, people thought that bulb would be the greatest invention in Earth by human. But it was proven wrong. After bulb, computers came, nanocomputers, microcomputers, and every day on day there are inventions. So there is no scarcity of new ideas. Just you have to think about new ideas. Always keep thinking. Always keep innovating. Innovation doesn't mean that you hit the bullseye on the very first go. It can be any simple thing. It can be as simple as solving a calculus equation with an alternative method that is not at all available. So that itself is an invention for you. The second big myth that is there in the market and everyone thinks about it is you require a big investment. Unless and until I have 1 crore investment or 15 lakh investment, I cannot start a company of my own. The two gentlemen are the most successful entrepreneur in India and one of the most successful entrepreneur in US, Shri Dhirubhai Ambani and Mr. Steve Jobs. They started off with scratch zero. They had nothing. They only had ideas, only had dreams. In one of the speeches of Shri Mukesh Ambani, he was sharing that when his father was working at Oman at a petrol station, he used to dream at day. So he used to be a daydreamer. So his wife used to ask him, his family members used to ask him that, why are you dreaming at day? So he used to tell him, today I'm filling in oil for the cars. Tomorrow I want to be the refiner, the manufacturer of that particular station. And he did it. And he did it. So you have to have the dreams. You have to think big. And you have to never think that I don't have money, so I cannot do anything. The most important myth that we all have is we do not share ideas with people. And actually, if we do share ideas with our close ones, they would not give us a proper feedback. So you should always share ideas because it grows when you share. For example, you have a small idea of creating a small company, and tomorrow you share it with your parents. They say, no, do not start that particular company because it may lead you into trouble. So you get backstabbed, but you never come back. You take a back step. You never come back. You should always come back. Discuss the idea. You should always discuss with everyone. Get everyone's feedback and then go. So it's always share, and then you get the appropriate solution, and then you can move ahead. You can move ahead and get a support for your entrepreneurship, for your business, for something of your own. Now I'm going to tell you some important tips that many people have taken, adopted, and many people have succeeded with. The first and foremost important approach towards your business should be, you should be slow and steady. You remember that story of hare and tortoise, which we used to study in our lower standards. So the hare thought that the tortoise he started off very fast and then thought that the tortoise is going to lose the race. So he took a rest. And eventually what happened? He lost the race. So always think big, but start small. There was an entrepreneur who started off very small. So what he did was he had an orchard. His dad gifted him an orchard. And then he started making jams. And jams he used to take and distribute in his locality and take feedback. And one fine morning today, he's one of the biggest jam producers in the world. So go small, go slow. Don't take higher risk. You have to take a risk. Unless entrepreneurship is all about your risk-taking capability and capacity. But do not take high risks, take calculative risks. The second best approach is rotate and share. As I've already shared with you, that you should always share and get a feedback. That jam producer, what he did was he used to distribute, get a feedback. So one fine morning, one gentleman told him, why don't you have a sugar-free jam? Reduce the quantity of sugar. So he started to manufacture it. He started to reduce the sugar level in it. So always get a feedback. Don't start producing or don't start executing in a huge number. It may lead you into trouble. And most of the entrepreneurs who have failed due to the factor that do not share and they did not take proper feedback from proper people. The third and most important approach that you should have is you should be very much hungry. You should engulf knowledge wherever it's available. So in the movies Three Idiots, you would find that Amir Khan, the person who played a character called Rancho, he used to tell that knowledge kahin se bhi aa jata hai. So he used to go to every classroom and attend classes and used to acquire knowledge, even irrespective of his semester. So he used to be in first semester, used to attend third semester classes or maybe sixth semester classes. So you should be hungry. The perfect example is a bear. Bear before hibernation eats as much as possible so that during hibernation he can burn those fats and utilize it for its energy purpose. So be hungry, acquire as much as knowledge possible so that you can implement that on your business whenever you start doing a business. You have to, as I rightly said, acquire knowledge as much as possible. So these are three important pillars of current marketing skills. And I'm very much sure that most of the people today will not be knowing about this, about neuromarketing, neuroaesthetics, and psychomarketing. So my point of sharing this slide is you all should know and be updated and be knowledgeable and take calculated risk. Neuromarketing, as the presentation says, it's used for selecting the icons. You can see most of the social networking icons will be blue or red in color. Facebook, then LinkedIn, then you have Twitter, which will be blue in color, Instagram, blue and red, Google, red color. It's said that in our brain, these are the colors that create maximum impact. Same neuroaesthetics and psychomarketing, which is required for hitting the people's psychology and market your product. One of the myths that most of the students, especially engineering graduates and management graduates, have is, I need to be a dropout to succeed in my life. The three gentlemen mentioned in the presentation, Mr. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Steve Jobs, all were dropout. But do you know when they dropped out? Mark Zuckerberg dropped out when his business was entirely stabilized. He had a good cash flow, and then he had an establishment also. Same was the case with the rest of the two. So you don't drop out from your colleges. This applies for the people who are doing job. You shouldn't ever leave your job during the course of the time when you're thinking to be an entrepreneur. You should always wait and watch. You should always see the balance. When you see that you're getting a good amount of income from the other side, that is your business, and you can take care of your responsibilities, liabilities with the current source of income from your business, that should be the 10th day of you leaving the job or the college or whatever you are. And college, my general advice, my advice to the students would be never drop out. You should always continue the college, complete your education, then drop out. Because teachers are the best people who can teach you the best thing in the world. They can guide you to the best places to the world. You will not get a better guide than your teacher or professor. Then I would like to discuss about the financial assistance available for an entrepreneur. You have incubation cells. This is a very important pillar for being an entrepreneur for the college graduates. Every college, most of the colleges will have an incubation cell, wherein there will be a lot of projects that will be funded by the college, wherein they will be funding via share purchase after the feasibility approval. For example, the IIM Bangalore has got an NR cell. It's not only restricted to the IIM Bangalore students, people or students from outside IIM Bangalore can also go there, have an incubation course, present their projects over there. Then there will be a feasibility study, and the projects will be funded around 5 to 7 lakhs, maybe more than that is funded. We have a Canara Bank has an agency that is been owned jointly by Canara Bank and Department of HRD called HEFA, Higher Education Financial Agency, wherein we fund those projects which are being done across IITs, IIMs, and other education institutes. And at this juncture, I would also like to congratulate Dr. Kumar and Dr. Chandrasekhar and other departmental heads and all the professors and students of VKIT for successfully establishing the innovation cell at VKIT, and that is doing extremely good. And I'm very much sure that in coming days, it's going to create new products, new entrepreneurs, and my next presentation will have your photographs in the place of Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Mark Zuckerberg. Next option available for you are angel investors and the venture capitalists. So these are nothing else but private equity finance company who would be investing in your projects. So for example, you develop a new software, but you need some license worth around 10 to 15 lakhs for running it, for marketing it. You go and contact some angel investors and or the venture capitalists. What they would do is they would see the feasibility study. They'll see how much profitable you are. They'll study your financials, the projections, because you cannot have the income right from day one. So you will have to project that after 1 year, you will do 10 sales, 15 sales. That 15 sales, 15 number of colleges or schools will be using your softwares. And then after that, the income generated from the annual maintenance along with the purchase, you have to replicate all in your financials. So that will be analyzed by them, and they would be also investing in your project. Say 40% stake would be owned by them. Most of the startups like Oyo, Ola, all of them have an investments from the angel investors and the venture capitalists. The third and most important pillar of financial assistance is the bank and the financial institutions. This is a part from where I belong, so I would be able to take you to a deep walkthrough in this particular segment. So there are a lot of schemes by central government. The foremost being Mudra, wherein loan up to 10 lakhs would be available for the startups as well as the people who are running their existing business. There is one special product for SC/ST entrepreneurs or women entrepreneurs, wherein or in the company wherein there are 51% stake holded by a woman who is a SC/ST who belongs to an SC category. The product is called Stand Up India. That is the scheme name. And then individual banks have got their own startup schemes as well as the running existing liability schemes or the loan schemes. As I told you, I would be, as a banker, I'd be able to guide you more onto the banking finance. So to start with Mudra, there are 3 categories of Mudra: Shishu, Kishore, and Tarun. So if you want to start a small scale business, if the investment is very less and you require a financial assistance of just 50,000 and you want to rotate that, Government of India provides a loan up to 50,000 under this issue scheme. There will be no additional security that will be asked. By security, I mean any property, land, building, fixed deposit, anything will not be requested from you, or you will not be pledging anything. That can be done. Same, no security comes Kishore, loan from 50,001 rupee to 5 lakhs for setting up a plant and machinery. Say, for example, you want to buy a paper cup manufacturing machine, that you can easily do with this. Third, for this is Tarun on a slightly higher side. So loans from 5 lakh 1 rupee to 10 lakhs. Again, there will be no security, no requirement to pledge your house or any fixed deposit. That can be done over here in Mudra agencies. For example, students in mechanical engineering, if you want to develop some machines and then sell in the market, these are the ideal loans for you. As you have already seen that there is a there is a big requirement for a lot of automation machines across the industry. So you can utilize this particular scheme, get the liability, the loan, and then manufacture it and then sell it in the market. The second scheme that I was talking to you about was the Stand Up India scheme. It's for women entrepreneurs belonging to SC/ST categories, or the companies. Suppose you form a private limited entity or an LLP entity, or a partnership firm, wherein 51% stake, 51% of the holding is been contributed by the woman entrepreneur belonging to SC/ST category, then you would be getting loans at a very low rate of interest. So for Mudra, the rate of interest would be somewhere between 8 to 9%, and the tenure would be maximum 7 years. For Stand Up India also, you will get a loan depending on your project cost. Say for example, your project cost is 100 CR, you'd get 100 CR, you'd get a financial assistance to 20%. Right now the cap is of 25 lakhs, but again, yes, Department of MSME is discussing for increasing the cap also. And then comes the normal loans. So normally for industry, banks will be giving two types of loan. One is to take care of your raw materials. So as I told you, the mechanical students can start up a firm wherein they would be developing a machine, an automation machine that would reduce the CNC timings, the CNC machine timings. Say for example, they require raw materials for developing the machines, as in whatever softwares you need, whatever iron sheets, steel sheets, whatever you need, they will be requiring raw materials of say 40 lakhs, 45 lakhs. For that, bank would be providing working capital finance. Again, that particular entity, for say welding, you would require welding machines and other high-end heavy machines. For that, we will be providing you term loan. So working capital would be for your raw materials or day-to-day need. For example, your rental needs, your salary needs, salary for your workers in your organization. That would be also catered by the working capital. And term loan would be specially for the purchase of machinery and construction of a plant. Say for example, today you want to start up a plant, you want to develop a unit, then term loan would be given for you to develop it. 75% of the finance would be done by any bank or financial organizations. So my presentation ends over here. I wanted more and more questions to be taken. Once I have the questions, I would be happy to clarify your doubts over it.
Thank you, sir. I have few. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah. Please
Yeah,
go ahead.
I have few doubts from my end too. Okay, could you just tell me what are all the changes
Please
with
go ahead.
respect to the MSME loans earlier and after the 2020 budget release?
There are quite a lot of improvement in
Okay.
MSME loans. So MSME, as you know, has now become the greatest contributor to our GDP. Earlier our agricultural sector used to contribute a lot towards our economy, but now MSME has been contributing a lot towards the economy. So it's been like a government having specialized focus on the MSME. Now, what has happened is, as per the new budget introduced, earlier the rate of interest for every MSME loans used to be double digit, but now it has reduced to single digit.
Okay.
There has been a good amount of allocation towards MSME. There are subsidized loan also. So one of the products being central subsidy scheme for purchase of machineries. For example, there are around 3,000 odd machineries that are available. So what you can do is you can just check the list, and if your machine comes under your requirement, machine comes in that particular list, Government of India will give you 15% straight away subsidy up to 15 lakhs directly. Apart from that, if you are enjoying a working capital, say for example, you're having a OD loan, ODOCC, what I said for raw material purchase and other things. If you're having that, you will get a 2% incremental subsidy. Today, if you're enjoying 10 lakhs, tomorrow you enhance it to 15 lakhs. For usage of 5 lakhs, Government of India is going to give you 2%. 2% subsidy will directly hit your account. Apart from that, also there has been a very much relaxation in the CGTMSE scheme, and in the CGTMSE scheme is a very big topic altogether. So CGTMS is a credit guarantee provided by the Government of India, wherein what happens is, suppose you do not have land and building to be placed as a mortgage, and you want to start a business. 10 lakhs you will have Mudra, but what about after 10 lakhs? Banks, financial institutes usually will insist for a backup of a property or a fixed deposit for that particular value. But in CGTMSE scheme, what happens is the bank gives the loan, and government has created a trust which gives 75% surety on the entrepreneur's behalf. So that has also been, the fund value has also been increased to 1.7 lakh crore. So a lot of important announcements have come for MSMEs. In fact, not related to budget, I would also like to point out, Government of India has allocated 20 lakh crore for the COVID measures, as a part of COVID measures for the MSMEs in together. They have been provided loans at a very nominal rate of interest. So the rate of interest is unimaginable. Prior to 4 or 5 years, the rate of interest that was enjoyed by MSMEs were in tune of 14 to 15%. But today, as we speak, it's like 6.5 to 7%. So it's like now or never. It's a wonderful opportunity given by the Government of India to start your own business and to start your own entrepreneurship.
Okay. So the next question I have to ask is, what does Canara Bank provide when compared to the other banks? What provision do you have for loans for startups? Like if it is not any machine-related project, if it is some software development, then what sort of loans do you provide for startups?
As I rightly told you during my presentation, that the software industry would require intangible assets. Machine would be a tangible asset. So an intangible asset, yes, we would be providing loans for the intangible assets also. So what happens is, depends on your project. Say for example, some of your students would be developing a college management software or a company management software, which would require a database purchase, which entertains to say Oracle. Oracle has a cost involvement in it. For purchase of that particular license, the bank would be given a term loan. A term loan would be given for the purchase of the license also. And not only for the purchase of the license, he would be having certain clients. So clients, again, say for example, company X is the client of your entrepreneur, and he is working for company X. He is delivering the software to company X, and he has certain receivables. By receivable, I mean to say that the bill has been made, but the payment is not yet done. So on those purchase orders, those receivable bills, bank will be financing you. So your working capital gap, the money required for executing your business will be taken care. So that kind of loan, not only Canara Bank, all the bank does, all the public sector banks, private banks, all will be doing that particular thing. So it doesn't depend really that you are manufacturing a machine, a plant, a chip, or a software. So tangible, intangible, both can be financed. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. And my next question is, according to your opinion, do you prefer people, like if it's a private limited company, would you say the particular startup to take loans initially, or you would say in the next phase or after the particular, say suppose it's a software related, then if after the particular launch or anything for the further what is that expansion, you go for other external investors or loans or something like that? Do you really prefer, according to your opinion, do you prefer them taking a bank loan in the first phase itself?
Very nice. The question is asked in a very good way, and I would like to appreciate and congratulate the person who has asked me this question. As far as my opinion is concerned, the entire thing depends on the projection. If a private limited company is being created, so certain capital has to be invested from each of the directors, the managing directors, the promoters, basically, let's say.
Yes.
For having a smooth balance sheet, you need to have a very nice current ratio. Current ratio is nothing else but your current asset by liability. These are all banking terms. A simple engineering terms is, what is my asset? My asset is my laptop. My asset is my two-wheeler or my four-wheeler that I have. And what is my liability? My liability is the loan that is running, maybe an educational loan, or maybe I have borrowed some money from my friends. So it's a ratio. You all are better in ratios than me. So your asset and liability. The asset would be on the numerator, liability will be on the denominator. Your asset should always grow. For a private limited entity, there are lots and lots of subsidy available from the government of India. Lot of schemes available from the government of India. It entirely depends on the project that you're going to start. If the project requires initial bit of funding, only bit of funding, if it's only bit, please contribute, or please ask the promoters to contribute their own funds, because that would increase the tangibility, and that would increase the quality of your balance sheet. Because if you start initially borrowing a fund, then your liability will increase, but assets will not increase, and you'll have an extra burden, extra pressure onto you. So if your requirement is less, start there. But if you have a big requirement, if you have to say start up an office, you want a lot of computers, especially talking about softwares, because Department of ISE, I can understand a lot of laptops to be purchased, no freelancer available. You have to go for a loan. Yes, then you have to go for a loan, but you have to always walk an extra mile. That would really impact your innovation. So I hope I have clarified the doubt.
Yeah, sir. I just, as a continuation of the same question. So you said if it's a very small budget, like, can you just tell me in terms of Indian rupees, what do you mean by the small budget? Yeah.
If I talk about quantum, then it's always suggested for a private limited entity to at least manage funds till 10 lakh rupee by their own. Above 10 lakh, always, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, fine. So, and I have one more question from the participant side. That is, how helpful NBFCs are to entrepreneurs?
NBFCs are very helpful to the entrepreneurs. I would like to say that invariably banks and other financial institutions are very much helpful. Other financial institutions includes NBFCs. It includes other organizations also who help the entrepreneurs to grow. NBFCs, the only concern with NBFCs are the rate of interest will be on a higher side. Yes, they will be able to give you a loan at a very quick speed, but the rate of interest will be slightly on the higher side, and the terms and conditions needs to be verified before availing any loans from any organization.
Okay. And one more question, last question from my side. So, if you have a current business account, yeah, and if we want to claim for a credit card, yeah, so if we do not have any certain IT returns for the current situation, yeah, and we also do not have any salary slips to be shown. Yeah, in that case, are we eligible to claim for a credit card?
So you are having a current account and you do not have an ITR, and you do not have a salary slip.
Yes.
How old is that account? I mean, is that a year more than a
No.
year?
If it is a business account that we have opened, it's a
Just
newly opened
opened
account.
Newly opened
Yeah, I
account.
don't have much transactions to be shown there. It's a newly opened account. So, if we have to claim for a credit card, this is my query. Yeah.
First of all, credit card entirely is also a type of loan, so it also entertains to a lot of documentation. Unlike the entrepreneurship loans, wherein it works on your projections, credit card sees your past history. So if your past history is good, if your by past history I mean to say your credit scores, that is CIBIL, CRIF, all those agencies will be giving your credit scores. If your past history is good, then the sanctioning authority can take a decision on it. And yes, sanctioning authority can take a decision on it. Certain banks do not entertain credit cards without IT returns especially in case of the current accounts. But yes, if it's a private limited entity and it's a new private limited entity, then it can be definitely looked into for giving a corporate credit card for the company.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I think these were the questions asked today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I would like to call upon Anita Rao, Assistant Professor, Department of ISE, VKIT, for vote of thanks.
Good evening, all. As all good things come to an end in life, so is the webinar. On behalf of entire team of VKIT, I, Anita Rao, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Science and Engineering, take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this webinar. At the outset, I thank all the JES members for their continuous support and encouragement in conducting such events. Thank you. I extend my sincere thanks to our resource person, Sri Arnab Sarkar, for spending his valuable time with us. The session was very informative, and we thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you, sir. I thank our beloved principal, Dr. Kumar Kenche Gowda, for continuous support in conducting this webinar. Thank you, sir. I also thank our Vice Principal, Dr. D.V. Chandrasekhar, who has always been a great support in organizing this webinar. Thank you, sir. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a very motivated and dedicated HOD, Dr. N.P. Netravati ma'am, who always stand by us, guide us, without whom this event wouldn't have been successful. Thank you, ma'am. My heartfelt thanks to all the heads of various departments, teaching and non-teaching staffs and students for their guidance and involvement. Thank you. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants for showing their interest in the program. Once again, I thank all for making this event a grand success. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mom. I hope all the participants out there found this session to be very informative, and it gave us a lot of clarity in gaining or stepping towards a journey of being an entrepreneur. It was a way informative session. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And all of you, it's a reminder again, if your feedback link would be sent to your register mail IDs after the end of this webinar, and your certificates can be obtained in your mail IDs. So please keep in track with the channel and share and subscribe. Thank you.